The swamps of Louisiana began almost imperceptibly. The road narrowed. The asphalt disappeared under the wheels, and around him spread a soft green silence. Jack drove slowly, as if afraid to wake the land itself. The air grew thicker, salty sweet, and the sky, heavy and low. When he stopped by an old wooden stilt house, the sun was already sinking toward the horizon. An elderly man in a worn-out hat sat near the house, smoking a short pipe and mending a net. "Lost traveler?" the man asked without looking up. "Looking for adventure," Jack replied. The man finally looked at him, squinting, and smiled with a toothless grin. "Then sit down. I'm Clem, and the swamps always have something to show to those who aren't afraid to get their feet wet." They talked for a long time. Clem told him about the swamps, about how he once caught a catfish the size of a door, about the alligators that appear silently like shadows, and about how everything here lives by its own laws. His voice was quiet, yet every word carried the weight of years. Jack listened, while at the edge of his thoughts Eva's face kept surfacing, her eyes glowing in the dusk, her laughter dissolving into the night air. The next morning, Clem invited him to go fishing. "If you've come here, you have to feel the real Louisiana," he said, winking. "And that's not the road, it's the water." The boat slid through murky waters, cutting narrow channels between dense cypress trees. The air was heavy, saturated with the smell of moisture and decaying leaves. Jack sat at the bow, clutching his rod to his chest, while Clem steered with an old outboard motor that growled like an ancient dog. "It's so quiet here you can hear your own thoughts rustle," Clem said, eyes fixed on the water. Jack nodded. Eva's face kept appearing in his mind, her smile, her warm fingers gliding over his skin the night before. Those memories felt unreal now, like a dream, and all around was only swamp, fog, and the occasional glint of alligator eyes beneath the water. They went deeper. The sun rose higher, burning away the morning mist, but the tree canopies still hid them, as if they were gliding through a world forgotten by people. Clem dropped an anchor and unrolled a thick line with a massive hook. "Time to catch a real monster," he said, grinning. Jack baited the hook with a chunk of raw meat and cast the line. The water quivered. Minutes stretched slowly, as if the river itself had slowed time. And then, a jolt. Sudden, powerful like a punch. The rod bent into an arc. The reel screamed. "Hold on," shouted Clem. Jack grabbed the rod with both hands, muscles straining, feet braced against the boat. Something huge was pulling the line down into the dark. The water swirled. Clem jumped closer, ready to help, but didn't intervene. His eyes burned with excitement. The catfish darted sideways. The boat rocked. Jack nearly fell, but regained balance. His heart pounded. He pulled the line in, and slowly a dark shadow surfaced. The fish was enormous, nearly half the size of the boat. And then, from the opposite side, something massive cut through the water. "Alligator!" yelled Clem. A green snout with yellow eyes rose just meters away. The boat lurched from the wave as the alligator snapped its jaws. Jack froze for just a second, then yanked the line, pulling the catfish closer. But the alligator lunged at the catch, water exploding in a muddy spray. "Drop it!" shouted Clem, grabbing an oar, but Jack was already hauling the fish onto the deck, and at the last moment the catfish flopped onto the boards, thrashing violently. The impact rocked the boat, nearly capsizing it. The alligator rammed the side, jaws snapping inches from Jack's legs. His heart leapt to his throat. Clem smashed the oar down on the beast's snout. Once, twice. With a hiss, the alligator slipped back into the depths, leaving only swirling mud behind. The boat rocked on the waves for a long while. Jack sat, breathing heavily, soaked in sweat and spray. Before him lay the giant catfish, its gills barely fluttering. Clem wiped his brow and laughed. "Now that's fishing. You just put on a show no one around here will ever forget." Jack laughed too, nervously, with relief, and suddenly thought of Eva again. He imagined how she would have clung to him in fright if she were here. If she could see him fight for life in the heart of the wild, by the time they got back to shore, the sky was burning orange. The catfish thudded heavily onto the wooden dock as Clem went to find a scale to weigh it. Jack stood apart, gazing into the distance, toward the direction the road stretched. The next morning, Jack parked his trailer by Clem's house just before dawn. Baxter stretched lazily on the seat as Jack secured his things inside. Clem stepped out onto the porch with a cup of coffee, holding it to his chest, and silently nodded. "Thanks for everything, old man," Jack said, shaking his hand. "It was real. Good luck on the road, traveler," Clem smiled. "And remember, the swamps always remember those who weren't afraid to go deeper." Jack climbed into the driver's seat. The trailer's engine rumbled, slowly pulling him out of the shadows of the trees onto the sunlit highway. The swamps faded behind him, dissolving in the rearview mirrors, while ahead the endless ribbon of road unfolded once more. The wind stirred the curtains in the trailer's little window. The sun danced on the panels. And his thoughts drifted back to her, to Eva. She was now like a light in the distance, unreachable but inevitable. Jack knew. This journey had become something more than just an escape from his old life. It was a path towards something new. And maybe, somewhere ahead, among the endless roads of America, they would meet again.